Thanks for checking out this Trout Academy video. We're going to be talking about some alternative streamer techniques today. So usually people use a downstream swing approach when they're fishing streamers. However, there's a bunch of other options like jigging, a tight line approach that would be akin to kind of a high sticking or Euro nymphing approach. There's a downstream swimming it in the current. There's an upstream pulling it down in the current like an escaping baitfish. And there's a technique that's pretty popular, just pounding the banks. You can see already how effective it can be using some alternative techniques, and hopefully these will help you get into more fish out there on the river. So the first technique here is just pounding the bank. You're gonna cast towards the bank, pull the fly away from the bank into the main current of the river. A lot of times big fish will be sitting on the edge of that soft water. They'll just be kind of waiting for a minnow or something to swim away from the bank, and then that's their opportunity to feed. So I'm about to make a big mistake. I hold my rod up off of the cork on the actual rod. What that does is it applies pressure on the softest part of the rod, which is the tip, and it takes away the power out of the butt section of the rod. Also will break a lot of rods, so don't do what I did and keep your hand on the cork. Don't try and leverage the fish that way. Unfortunately, I'm not really able to get a hold of this fish. As you can see, it's a big rainbow. I just can't quite get to it. The current is so fast and strong here, I can't chase it downstream. I end up overpressuring it and breaking it off. Technique. I know there's a few more fish in there, so I'm just gonna have at it until I'm not catching fish. So you can see, again, I'm just gonna throw that streamer right up next to the bank, strip it away from the bank, and allow those fish to seize the opportunity of a small bait fish cruising into deeper water. As you can see, I missed one there, so I just recast. Note the position of my rod. I'm almost too far to the side, which takes the rod's ability to set the hook out of play. If I come too far to the side, then I don't really have enough room left to set the hook. So I was just on the verge there of going too far. I still got the hook set, so it worked out. But make sure when you're stripping streamers and stuff that you keep your rod tip primarily pointed towards the fish and the streamer, because if you pull it too far to the side, you're not going to have that backbone to set the hook on the fish. Next up here is jigging, which I think is truly one of the most effective ways to catch fish. I'm just going to cast along these faster currents with a heavier fly and just kind of jig it up and down. It's going to look like a dying or dead bait fish. And you can see, boom, had a hit there. So this time I just cast right back into that same exact spot, and I try and hold the fly in position as though it were a bait fish swimming in the current. That way it allows that fish an opportunity to grab it without expending too much energy right in the same area where I just had hooked up. Just going to kind of do a mix and match of techniques here. I'm going to cast towards the bank, do a pound the bank, but I'm also going to kind of jig it through there in that slower water, just looking for fish that are hanging out, milling about in that slow moving water. So as you can probably tell from the video, these techniques can be really super deadly. If you just kind of apply, mix and match different techniques throughout a run or a pool, you can really utilize the entire pool and try to get to every single fish in that area. I'm just working through the pool using these different techniques. I go here to the technique where I'm just holding it and swimming it in the current. Then I go right back to jigging. I'm just going to bounce it, pop it up and down like a dying or dead bait fish, like I mentioned before. Really looking for those fish that are kind of try and pick off an easy meal. The whole point of this video is to really show that there's a ton of different techniques that can be used when you're streamer fishing. It doesn't just have to be the swinging across and downstream approach like traditionally it has been used. There's really a ton of different ways to fish a streamer. So next time you're out on the river, be flexible. Don't get stuck in a rut. Don't do the same thing over and over and over. Try some different things and really explore and see what you can catch fish on. That way you can fish every section of a pool in a run. You can employ these different techniques and really cover the water properly. And that way you're going to find fish that are sitting all sorts of different areas that are in different moods. You know, ones that are looking for an easy meal right in that slow water, fish that are sitting along the edge of that fast current. And by using these techniques, you can effectively fish to every one of the fish in the pool and the run, even though they're sitting in different current speeds, depths, and are probably looking for a different presentation. So be flexible out there. I know we didn't get too in depth on a lot of these techniques, but there'll be follow-up videos, so stay tuned.